For much of the 1970s and 80s, the job of farm worker was a much coveted job for many Jamaicans. Thousands of Jamaicans made their way to areas like Belle Glades in Florida to chop sugarcane. Hi, this is Bobby Montego. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Wake Up and Live. Today we're going to look at a very popular city, Belle Glades, way in the country, the western part of Florida, of South Florida, where many thousands of Jamaicans for years have been farming the lands out here. Many Jamaicans wish they could get the job of a farm worker, not knowing how difficult the job was as they were coming into a strange, massive sprawl of sugarcane. Just over the horizon, there are three towns that took primarily the farm workers from Jamaica and the Caribbean. The town of Belle Glades was the main one, which is just up ahead. The town of Clewiston, which is just beyond Belle Glades, and Pahokee, which is nicknamed Muck City, like the mud, because of the constant burning of sugarcane and the black soil and the muck that it created for much of the cane crop period. So we've been driving through hundreds and thousands of acres of sugarcane land, which was the workplace for many of the farm workers. These are actually sugarcane lands that when the sugarcane is fully grown, it is full of alligators, snakes, all kind of animals that would be very risky for the sugar workers at the time. Today, the farm working program in the Belle Glades is over because of criticisms about how slave-like the conditions were for many of these workers. But the labor is now replaced by massive amount of machines, and today this section we're looking at right now is already reaped, so we don't see the machines. But if it were a reaping time, you would see like hundreds of machines that cut the cane instead of the Jamaican workers right now. So the program is diverted now to mostly apple picking and cherry picking and so forth. See, what actually happened is during the 70s and from as far back as the 40s, but during the 70s and 80s, what actually happening, the West Indian Farm Program was ran by a company out of Miami called Miranda, which dealt with the flights and the organizing of the workers in Jamaica, and the flights and the housing and the transporting and everything for them. The Jamaicans that signed up for farm working were mostly fishermen, carpenters, tradesmen, unemployed men. In the 70s and 80s, unemployment was like in the 25% of Jamaica or so. So they had a lot of people to work. You can see the black rich soil after the cane has been burnt. These people came largely from poor rural towns in Jamaica. They picked cherries in Washington and Wisconsin. They picked tobacco in Connecticut. They picked apples from Virginia, all the way from Virginia right up to New England. That's all the way up to New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, Rhode Island, all those places. They picked apples from those regions. And in the central to north part of Florida, it would mostly be oranges and citruses, lime, grapefruit, oranges, and so forth. Okay, so we're coming up onto the one of the railroad tracks that carry much of the sugarcane from miles inward. And when I say miles, I'm talking about miles of sugarcane. Because we're talking about thousands and thousands of acres of sugarcane land. Go ahead, go ahead. Okay, so we're currently in the town of Belle Glades, and just want to quickly show you the scope of what we're dealing with. In Belle Glades, as you can see, just across the street there's a mini airstrip with I counted 13 planes over there. There's the sand dunes are blocking them, but those planes do the spraying of the cane fields. Just beyond that, you might be able to see the smoke of one of the cane factories that's out there. One of the many cane factories. I think they belong now to Florida Crystal, that operates most of the cane fields. Thousands of acres, and this entire city is built on sugarcane, sugarcane business. The entire town. We're not going through much of the town right now, but even as I'm standing here, you can hear roosters crowing. It reminds me so much of the country in Jamaica. But this is Belle Glades, where all the farm workers from Jamaica would come to cut cane in Florida for many, many years until they scrapped the program because of what they say was like slave-like condition of some of the workers.